There we go. Welcome back to Overlord, Anime Review, episode number 25. We are here reviewing a movie that came out just recently, and a movie that adapted these two books. Books 12 and 13, known as Paladin of the Sacred Kingdom. The first movie adapted this very book, and the second adapted this book. So, in this movie, I should point out though, a lot of the main characters from the main series don't play a role in this book at all. The only main characters you see for the main books are just Ainz Albedo, who's seen in two scenes, which that is accurate to the book. That is not because they cut her scenes out, because that's in the book, and Demiurge. And there's like one of the Pleiades. They're in here too, which they give her something to do. Which, yeah, they kept her voice actors for the show, which I do appreciate that. So the movie opens up with Demiurge in his identity from season 2 of the show, known as which, by the way, he does this on the cover here, but he actually wears his mask in the show. When he's known as Gelabroth. Yeah, him and his army of demi-humans just attack this place. And there's this guy who's a ranger, who has a daughter, she's a paladin. She plays a role in the movie. And then, of course, basically, they attack the kingdom. So, then, of course, at desperation, and of course, they attack the capital. And, of course, basically, like, we have where the Knight Captain in the movie, and her name is Remedios Casido, and we also have they refer to her as the Sacred Princess, Castilia Bastrots, and Clerk Casido, basically is the bodyguards. Now, what happened to them is not exactly very clear. They show in a flashback the princess may have been murdered. There's a lot of blood. Because basically, like, Ramirez said, Battle is basically Demiurge in his disguise, and he kills a lot of soldiers. He's thrown into a building, of course, building blood, and he summons a demon who people think it's him in his true form, but it's actually just a high-level demon warrior they summon here. And then we cut to, basically, we see this other new character who does play, who's actually more like the true original character, Nelly Baraja, who, okay, so this scene, they do cut out a scene that features the Riesa Kingdom, where basically, like, they leave to go look for help to help deal with this, basically, this invading army. Now, in the book, they go, I remember from the book, it's been a while, but I do remember this really well, that they actually visit the Riesa's kingdom. Why that was cut, that was complete, I don't really know. It could be cut due to time, but I'm not really sure. Oh, before I continue here, with the movie that I went to, the time started things to be 4:15. The movie didn't start until like 4:34 because we had to go through 19 minutes of commercials. 2 of them about the actual theater. We had a trailer for Solo Leveling. We had a trailer for Kraven the Hunter. Let's see. There was also one from a Fossil, which I was able to hear this time in English because unless it was in French. There was a car commercial. Yes, a car commercial about the freaking Cadillac. Okay. And I thought, basically, movie started at 4:15, finished around 6:30-ish. Movie that finished almost 7. Yeah, because they had all these advertisements in there. I'm like, really? So, there's that. So, they cut Riesa's kingdom out here for some reason. Not sure why. But they go visit. Of course, in the book, they mention what happened with Gallus Turnoff in the end of season 3 for the show. But then they arrive at the Sorcerer Kingdom, which this I thought was really cool. They showed this in the movie. Where the entrance to the Sorcerer Kingdom, which is basically the the capital, where there's 2 statues of Ainzo Go. Of course, everyone's against the fact their leader is basically an undead. And they arrive in the city, and get this. They bring back a character who has not been seen since season 3 of the show. Yeah, it's Rhaenyra. Yeah, he's not been seen since like his one episode he appeared in season 3 of the show. And they did technically keep him in. Yes. It's kind of surprising they brought him back here. Oh, by the way, they even brought in the Blue Rose Knights. Their appearance was nothing more than a cameo in this movie. So they arrive, and then of course he basically mentions, oh yeah, they mentioned the dragons here. Flying above them is the dragon from the previous arc. Basically, I have heard this movie is explained to take place between episodes 7 and 8 of season 4 of the show. That's where the place this movie is. So that we see a dragon right, which I think is the same dragon that popped up for the episodes that adapted for, I believe was book 11 for the show. Yes, book 11 light novel was that for a few episodes of the anime. So, I have to explain, of course, they met with Albedo in one of her 2 appearances in the entire movie. And like I said, for something like this, it's not the movie's fault, the fact that she made appearances in 2 scenes. She does not play a role in these books at all. Not really. A lot of the other books she appears tons of times. Here it's like twice, and she's on screen for a combined time about 5 minutes. And like I mentioned, it's not Madhouse's fault. Not Madhouse's fault. It is these books' fault. When I read these books originally, I was like, okay, so we have Ainz, we have Demiurge, we have Albedo, and there's one other character who has a role, and that's it. I mean, the Floor Guardians do not make appearance in the movie. Of course, they do. Albedo does refer to himself as the Prime Minister, which is interesting because in the main show, she never referred to herself as that. And then, of course, she comes over to bow to Ainzo Go in his white attire, which he did sport in the show, by the way. I believe it was like in the first episode he sported it. Yes. And then we kind of see now here where Neji is talking to Ainz about cutting out. Of course, basically what they want is basically Momon. But they have to wait 2 years, but they can't wait 2 years. So then, for reasons, and of course you have basically just cleaning up a horse. And then Ainz himself contacts her. Yes, the king of this country. And of course, then he sports the classic look that he's known for. And they're kind of surprised. The king of the country is speaking to them personally. Normally a king of the country wouldn't do this, but it's Ainz. He can do whatever he wants. But they can't exactly, like, give him Momon, but they can give him basically some equal power to him. Ainz himself. So, he can reach out with him. And of course, because, well, she talked to him, she's basically named his attendant. And becomes basically, in a way, a follower of his. Basically, he tells her stuff that kind of convinces her basically turn to his side. And they mention, oh yeah, it would take 10 days to get to the kingdom. Of course, they stop at a cave where they give details of plans. And, well, also while they're there, when they're alone, like on some cliffside, he's thinking, he gives her a bow made from rune technology, which this is also a nod for the show. Yes, if you're curious, he got this from the adaptation of book 11. So, this is really cool. It's like, we tease that in the main show, like, oh, you're making something for rune technology, and it's a bow. A really cool looking bow. She's happy to get the bow, and then, of course, she doesn't use it for quite a while. She has it the whole movie. She doesn't finally use it until, like, toward the end of the movie, and that's, like I mentioned, it's not the movie's fault. It's the novel's fault. So, then they're out of the first town where they have these demi-humans take a child hostage. Ainz ends up killing a child, which of course they had no choice in the matter because people who were supposed to be parent failed. And Then we have the captured citizens of this town, and these people were starved by demi-humans. I'm like, wow, this guy's like skin and bones. And then basically, later on, one basically puts on suit armor later on. And I tells the guy, yeah, he killed him. But actually, you're the one basically, he puts blame on him because technically he failed to protect his own child. Which, yeah. I have nothing much to say to that. And of course, they feed them. And of course, then they, just by sheer coincidence, just happen to rescue the princess's brother in this town. Yes, where Ainz is thanked for saving them, and of course, basically, they set up the proper base in the city, which of course, basically, then they proceed to, like, we have this major battle. We have the scene with the demi-humans, which yes, in the book too, where we have three of the general ones, basically a giant bear horse, as they show later on. The other is a monkey, and the other, of course, is this weird creature whose face is made up of fingers. Yes. I don't know what species this is, but one of whom basically they show at the beginning, or one that looks like some kind of like a slimy type of person, like a snake who can move around, which Demiurge basically is rage for these people being late, proceeds to rip off this person's shoulder. You're like, what? Why would he do this for? And that plays a role toward the end of the movie. Unintentionally, of course. So, then of course, Ainz proceeds to, well, then we have the leader, the Grandmaster, fight them. Pretty good battle. And then she leaves because Ainz shows up, and of course he proceeds to kill all three of them. Oh yeah, they revealed that the whole thing of them conquering the basic thing was all Demiurge's idea, but Ainz was in on it. Oh yeah, and some of the actual warrior. Yeah, tell them to make it look good. Yes, but make sure you take this part seriously. So then, of course, he attempts. Now they do kind of line here. Better actually was against Ainz, basically faking his death. Like, oh, basically you're gonna die. No, we can't live without you, Lord Ainz. Because she's managed to level with him. Despite the fact, basically, that was power programming because I did that before they swapped over. They cut that out of the movie. Yeah, that was the second major cut they have here because a lot of this of the movie is accurate to the books, shockingly. So, then we move to the Knights' area, which I don't know if this is the fault of Madhouse doing this because the Knights' helmets are very weirdly designed, where the helmets look a lot like Shredder's helmets without the pointy thing on top. It's like they use that model. Now, I don't think this was used in the main book because I don't think they describe what these soldiers' helmets look like. But it's like they took the design from Shredder's helmet. But design-wise, to find their mask, it's like, did Madhouse take inspiration from the real-life mask people had to wear during COVID? It is possible. Who the heck knows? And while he's basically fighting the king, he basically has these magic items. Oh, he's got skulls. And he was like, "Is that a magic item?" No, just decoration. And he fights because pretty quickly. So then, as a gift for being a good servant to him, of course, she's coming to battle. Then he proceeds to give her a special visor, the armor from the Goat King, and a few items. And she wears the visor. Like, she's not using something like this, but it's very useful for her. I'm not sure what the purpose of this visor is. I get the armor's got a purpose, but the visor itself, the glasses have really no purpose at all. I don't remember this being in the book at all. In fact, she wore this. Maybe she did. I don't remember. But then they have another major battle, which she does use. Of course, she has to kill children once again because they have no choice in the matter. Of course, they use the phrase of the needs of many outweigh needs of few in the Star Trek phase, and they use it as justification for something in the movie, which I don't have really big issue with it at all, because that's kind of what they have in the books themselves. So it's kind of how the movie is. Lance Fight Team apparently dies, and then we have Delta come in, which they refer to her as Sousa. Yes, which the credits refer to as Sousa Delta. Despite the fact I know her as Delta, whatever number this is. Yeah. And when Ainz basically is apparently killed halfway through the movie, that's the ending of book 12. Yeah, and for some reason, I'm not sure why this is. Yes, they kept the same voice actors in the movie, Michelle Rogers. For some reason, they gave her, and I'm not really sure why this is. See, her name is actually also CZ or simply Delta, but in the movie they call her Susan A. Which I'm like, wait, did Crunchyroll give her the name for the name they gave her in the light novel? Because that's exactly what they did. Because that's not her name. They refer to her as Susan Delta, and I'm thinking like, that's not her name. Like, what was I calling her CZ? Now, I don't blame Michelle Ramos for this. It's not her fault of her calling her that character, that name. I blame that on Crunchyroll. That part is actually their fault for calling her that. So apparently she surrendered the kingdom and she was hiding out in a boarded up mansion. Why she was hiding out here? Not really very clear. So they put her at risk. Basically, the whole thing of the Ainz, they jump straight to, like, they can't look for Ainz because he's in enemy territory. Also before this, he also freed these group of orcs. These very skinny orcs. Now the orcs thing is something I don't see very much fantasy anime. But the first thing I think of when I think of orcs is that Seven Crimes design, the design they have there. I wonder if Madhouse took ideas from that Seven Crimes slime for the design of these orcs. So they're present because they did not work with Demiurge. And so Ainz frees him, and that plays also a role in the ending too. Like, I do appreciate the fact that basically, like, the stuff they do in the movie sets up the very end, which good on basically them for doing that. So they go to the Sorcerer Kingdom to come back in suits of armor later on in the movie, which, well, we'll get back to that. So after Ainz's parent died, of course, basically like a week passes by where she's apparently been training Soja to use bow and arrow. And then, of course, well, then one of the creatures who was working with the Demi-Human Alliance ends up working with the humans to free their prince, and so basically, Nedra sent them with Delta to go retrieve this tower, which they get in there by hiding in a barrel of raw meat. Which Delta doesn't like that very much, as he gets out. And here's the thing: in the book, it's nothing said by us all, so this is not the fault of the movie for this. Nedra does not question the fact that why in the world that Delta is using a gun. She does not ask, what the heck is that you're using? Because in the book, there's no mentions at all. No line mentioning of like what the heck the item is, because she's used to magic, not used to a freaking machine gun. Which, yes, this is Delta's primary weapon, which she's used to constantly every time she pops on the screen. But, yeah, not her fault. Now, you probably would think, wait, did this movie cut out a scene where she explains what it is? No. Because that was all during the book, too. She never questioned it. So they do like a spy thing, or they just pop down window, and of course they mention, oh yeah, Nedra's slow. Like, she's skinny. How's she slow? Oh yeah, and then of course they eliminate a couple of them anyway. One of them is like creature who can survive besides 7 attacks. And have to eliminate him, and then of course they find the prince, and he's a slug. Yep, a slug. Somehow she knew this was the prince. I'm like, did they give her a description of what the prince looks like? Because they never mentioned exactly what the prince was. They mentioned this other creature who's got 2 heads of 2 different sorcerers. And then they fight the creature, and then of course Nina, where basically she brings out her bow, and of course the creature's like, "Wait, is that rune technology?" He's like, "Yeah, it is." And the creature will talk about it because basically she's fighting, and then they kind of kill the creature off screen. Oh yeah, and discovered one of the heads belongs to the sister of the Grand Master, and the other is actually, and this is really really weird. So the other creature is this the prince's grandmother and his childhood crush. What? I thought this was really weird. Oh yeah, and they tell them to eat the grandmother. It's like, you eat the head. Like, no, take it back from proper funeral. She does get buried. No body though, and then then of course Demon shows up. Iron shows up alive with his army, and then of course they kill the Demon, and of course basically he became a hero. And Naze is sort of a religion supporting Irons. Oh yeah, and it turns out the prince actually was working with Demiurge all along, and his face changes at the end of the movie, which I'm like, what the heck is that about? Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. But the fire's name is Pablo for Nia. So the ruler of this place is Caspond. Villagers. Where apparently this one is a doppelganger. Yep. Yeah, I thought it was really weird. So, they start religion, and of course, basically, Delta mentions in the movie that she's actually friends with Neo, which, yeah, we do see some bonding between the two of them. And, well, they go home, and that's the movie. I do gotta admit, I really enjoyed this movie. I had no major issues with it, except for a couple scenes that should have not been cut. The review I saw online, they called this movie a drag. Maybe the movie was slow, and I'm like, no, it's not. It progresses perfectly fine. It's got a good pace with it, so I disagree with that review for it. I kind of wish basically I knew who some of these dubcasts was, like who voiced these new characters. And, like, if you're really curious, how long is the book they adapt from? In the case of Overlord Book 12, which is the first half movie, now this book is... Oh yeah, there's whole thing with Shelter here. They mentioned about stuff with her from Season 1 for the show, but it's not really delved into it all. So, the main book for book 12 is 266 pages, how long this book is. Yeah, that's what the creature looks like in the movie. They kept the same look, which I got thank Sobon basically for probably allowing them to use the image. So, how long is book 13, might be asking? Book 13 is 378 pages. Oh, in case you're curious though, that's the bow looks like that she's holding. Yeah, that's the one with rune technology. But you got to appreciate the fact that good character images here. Yep. But yeah, not much else to say about these two books. Well, not the books, the movie itself. It's good. Would I recommend check out the books themselves? Yes. Especially ones after this movie. Yep. So yeah, that's pretty much a particular review. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do not hit the dislike button. Well, I thought it was time to do Israel Returns Dungeon. That's going to have to wait till tomorrow at this point. Along with two Cynthia movies. Okay? Along with also Case Closed, Demon the Retry. I'm also going to try to get done Ramen Half. Okay? Next video tomorrow. Bye.